For decades, administrative power relied on the weight of its words, guidance, suggestions, and the threat of a future fine. Today, that mode of operation has hit a threshold. We are watching institutions abandon the effort to persuade behavior and instead move to compel it through forced architectural redesign. Prediction markets provide a clear handle on this shift. The Kalshi contract for a Meta settlement sits at 35 cents. That is the public price, the value placed on the idea that this conflict ends in a negotiated compromise. The private price is the cost of the structural rebuilding now being argued in a Santa Fe court. This gap exists because the environmental reality has decoupled from the tools used to manage it. When soft instruments like industry self-regulation fail to contain a harm, regulators respond by shifting the constraint from the policy level to the architectural level. This infographic shows the mechanics of that transition. Following a jury verdict finding Meta liable for 75,000 violations of consumer protection law, the case has moved into a remedy phase centered on court-ordered design specifications. Meta responded by raising the possibility of withdrawing its platforms from New Mexico entirely. The company is performing a public calculation, weighing the cost of the state's market against the cost of operating under these new mandatory rules. In this venue, the court is treating the public nuisance claim as an immutable boundary condition. A checkbook resolution no longer satisfies the structural demands of the state. We have entered boundary space, an environment where compliance is a mathematical requirement that cannot be optimized around. The forced redesign mandate relocates regulatory constraints from written policy statements to demonstrable system performance. These 5 pillars represent the design changes the state is demanding. Requiring age verification and guardian account linkage overrides the default engagement-first design. The injunction includes a permanent one-strike device ban for offenders and retunes algorithms to prioritize integrity over engagement. This illustrates the flip from an engagement system to a compliance system. The platform operator loses the ability to tune the variables of the experience once the architecture is court-ordered. These architectural mandates bypass the traditional legal shields of the platform era. With 75,000 jury-affirmed violations on the record, the defense provided by Section 230 has failed to block the push for structural change. The European Commission is enforcing a parallel boundary under the Digital Services Act. Executive Vice President Henna Virkkunen has stated that policies must be the basis for concrete action, with preliminary findings indicating that Meta's current safeguards fail to identify and remove underage users. The safety architecture of the Internet is shifting from a matter of corporate choice to a design specification ordered by the largest jurisdictions in the world. This move from persuasion to architecture is appearing at the macroeconomic level as well. The Federal Reserve is facing a moment where its preferred tool, forward guidance, is being neutralized by supply-side shocks. In its recent meeting, the Fed produced 4 dissenting votes, the most since 1992. The dissenters are pushing for a hard boundary treatment of the inflation mandate, moving away from the flexible guidance language Powell has used to signal future rate cuts. The pressure on that guidance is coming from a 50% surge in crude oil prices following the start of the conflict in Iran. These massive physical supply shocks create a rigid inflationary ceiling that policy statements simply cannot talk down. This chart shows the results at the household level, with average gasoline hitting $4.22 a gallon. As fuel costs compress other expenditures, the central bank's ability to guide the market is replaced by the hard reality of input costs. A similar architectural ceiling has surfaced in defense logistics. In this theater, diplomatic promises are hitting the hard limit of industrial production capacity. The Pentagon has notified allies in the UK, Poland, and the Baltics that munitions deliveries will be delayed. Because stockpiles are drawing down faster than they can be replenished, the system has hit a production ceiling that no policy decision can quickly route around. In every theater, the system has reached a threshold where soft guidance is being replaced by the hard constraints of a production or policy ceiling. The next 60 days will serve as a test of this transition, moving the narrative into the realm of observable data. 3 events will mark the trajectory: the May 4th trial start in Santa Fe, the June Federal Open Market Committee meeting, and the European Commission's final ruling on Meta's structural submission. If Meta complies with a New Mexico injunction, it establishes the architectural template that other state attorneys general and international regulators will adopt. At this stage, the institutional noise and political commentary are secondary. Look only for what is being forced to be rebuilt.